Good evening, grade 3. How are you doing today? It's time for the English class. It's a reading lesson. Take out your reading books, please. Open page 290, 291. Write down today's date, 2nd of February 2021. Our selection today about gray wolf and red fox. This is a gray wolf, the animal you see here in this photo, and this is the red fox. We're going to read about two animals. You remember this question? How do animals adapt to challenges in their habitat? We discussed this question before. We said we have different animals around us and they're living in different habitats or different environments. So, animals have different structures or behaviors that help them adapt. And adapt, this means to survive or to live. One example, like the giraffe. The giraffe has a very long neck. What is the job of the neck here? It helps the giraffe to get or reach the leaves of the tree. Another example is the penguins. All of us know that penguins live in very cold habitat. So they have many layers of fat to help them feel warm. They have beak. Yes, they have beak to catch or hunt fish. And they are black and white. You know the black color help them to absorb the heat of the sun. And of course, they have short flippers and they have different feet to help them swim underwater. Before we start our selection, I want you to look at this diagram. Here we have a diagram for pizza and ice cream. Okay, we have two circles for pizza and ice cream. When you talk about pizza and ice cream, we see how they are alike. What are the similarities? And we talk about the differences. This means how they are different. So when you compare between two things, this means you say the similarities or you write or talk about the similarities. And when you contrast, this means you talk about the differences or how things are different. Well, in the outer circles, this part and this part, you write the contrasting or the differences. In the overlap in between here, this green area, we write the similarities. So what are the similarities between the pizza and ice cream? Both of them have topping. God, eat with hands. We eat both of the fruit with hands, and both of them is nourishing. Good. How the pizza is different here? The pizza is a meal that has cheese, dough, sauce, and we eat it hot. Good. How the ice cream is different? The ice cream is a dessert. Yes, it's not a meal, it's a dessert. It has many flavors like chocolate, mango, vanilla. Yes, we eat it in a bowl or a cone and we eat it cold. Yes, this is a simple example to how to compare things and how to contrast. So comparing means to talk about the similarities or how two things are alike. And contrast means to talk about the differences or how things are different. We will do the same here in our story or our selection. We will compare and contrast the two animals. We have two animals here. Okay, listen now. Did you ever see a photograph of a gray wolf or a red fox? Don't they look a lot like dogs? Aren't they fantastic looking animals? Well, dogs, foxes, and wolves are all related. You remember the word related? Good. Underline the word related. They are all members of the same family. And while gray wolves and red foxes may look like, they are different in many ways. Look at the first paragraph here. The word related, it means, yes, members from the same family. So all members of the same family, the meaning of the word related, we call this sentence clue. What is a sentence clue? It's a sentence or part of the sentence that help you understand the meaning of a word. All right. Second paragraph here. Looks are everything. The gray wolf is the largest member or part of the wild dog family. An adult wolf is the size of a large dog. The red fox is smaller and weighs less. Both animals have excellent hearing. The red fox can even hear small animals digging holes underground. And just take a look at those beautiful tails. The gray wolf and red fox both have long, bushy tails. The wolf's tail can be 2 feet long. The fox's tail is not as long but has a bright white tip. In the winter, foxes use their thick, furry tails as protection from the cold. I think we start to compare here the two animals, how the fox and how the wolf are alike and different. Okay, before we have to member or a part. Here we have context clue or a sentence clue that give you understand the meaning of the word member. Member, this means part of the family. Here is a contraction. In this page, how the wolves and foxes are alike. They are members of the same family. This is number 1. Number 2, both have excellent hearing. Number 3, both have long bushy tails. This is how to compare. This means how the two animals are alike. What about the differences? How they're different? Number 1, the wolf is the size of large dog, but the fox is smaller. Number 2, the wolf tail can be 2 feet long. However, so the word however is used here, so we have to change it into red. The fox's tail is not long with white tip. While you are writing a comparison or write a compare and contrast, we use these words. Look at this overlap, the yellow overlap here. Those are the words that you can use while you are writing a comparison. We use the word similar to, or alike, or same as, or not only but also, or resemble, or as well as, or both. Yes, look at the outer circles, the blue and green. What are the words you can write while you are making contrast? Different from, and the word however, and although, and on the other hand, or more than, or less than, or on the contrary. Good. We have a question here in the last 2 lines. What do the foxes use their tails for? What do the foxes use their tails for? Good. In the winter, foxes use their thick, fairy tail as a protection from the cold. You remember we say they have fairy tail? Well, turn the page. Brown or black. However, red foxes most often have red fur, while a gray wolf's fur is usually more gray and brown. Here we have another comparison. Both the animals, we use the word both here, okay, for comparison or to compare. They have thick fur. They have thick fur or coats. The coats mean like the outer covering. So this is the fur outside or that cover the body. The coats can be white, brown, or black. Here we have a comparison. We wrote or we started with the word however. However, this means you say or talk about the differences. The red foxes most often have red fur, while a gray wolf fur is usually gray or brown. Well, finding food. How do they get their food? Gray wolves and red foxes live in many different habitats. They live in forests, deserts, woodlands, and grasslands. So here we have to put a question. Where do gray wolves and red foxes live? Where? Okay, this is the answer. They live in forests, deserts, woodlands, and grasslands. But as more people build roads and shopping centers, both animals have lost their homes. The red fox has adapted. God. This is how the red fox adapts. Let us see how does the fox adapted. So the word adapt means made changes to fit into its environment. Now more foxes make their homes close to towns and parks. Wolves, however, stay far away from towns and people. So, okay, here in this part you can write a question. How has the fox adapted, or how have the foxes adapted to the new changes? Underline the answer here. More foxes make their home close to towns and parks. What about wolves? Yes, what about the wolves? However means here we contrast or make. Yes, they're different here. However, the wolves, however, stay far away from towns and people. So in the first part here, we talk about where the two animals live. In the second part, how the two animals adapt the new changes. And in the third part, you are going to read about how they get the food. Foxes and wolves are not in competition for food. They have different diets. You remember the meaning of the word competition? Yes, competition means that's great. It's like a challenge or a way to keep you successful the whole time. They have different diets. They have different diets like different meals or different food. Red foxes prefer to hunt alone and eat small animals, birds, and fish. They also like to raid garbage cans and campsites for food. Wolves work together in packs or groups to hunt large animals such as moose and deer. Well, how can we talk now about the food or how they get their food? First, they have different diets. Yes, the red foxes prefer or like to hunt alone, but the wolves like to hunt in groups. So the word packs here means groups. They have the same meaning. This is sentence clue. Good. Where do the foxes get their food or what they eat? They eat small animals, birds, and fish. They also like to raid. Raid, this means to attack or to go a look there or to find in the garbage cans and campsites for food. What about wolves? They like to hunt or prefer to hunt large animals, not small animals like the deer. Look at the map here. This is a map for the United States of America. Where do they live? Where do the foxes and wolves live? Here in the map key, you can find this is the red color means red fox only. And the gray color, this means gray wolf only here. and the orange color means both of them living together in the same area. Day to day. Wolves live in packs of 4 to 7. They do almost everything together. They hunt, travel, and choose safe places to set up dens for shelter. Foxes, on the other hand, so here we have the word on the other hand. This means here its differences. Foxes, on the other hand, like to live alone. They usually sleep in the open to find an empty rabbit hole to call home. Well, how they stay safe or how they stay for shelter. Now it's time to talk about shelters. We said that wolves live in packs of 4 or 7. They do everything together. They hunt together, they travel together, and they choose safe place to set up den like a hole or a cave to stay in. This is their shelter. What about foxes? No, foxes like or prefer to live alone. They usually sleep in the open air or to find an empty rabbit hole to call home or a shelter. Both wolves and foxes communicate. Communicate, this means how to contact or how interact with other members of their families by barking and growling. Barking look like the sound of the dog, and growling. The gray wolf also howls. You know how the gray wolf howl? This is it. Oh, yes, this is the sound of howling to alert or warn. So the meaning of the word alert here means warn other wolves when there is a danger nearby. The red fox signals in different ways. So signals mean here communicate or give signs in a different way. It waves its tail in the air to caution other animals. So caution here means the same meaning of warn or alert. The gray wolf and red fox are members of the same family and have many things in common, but they really are two very different animals. Well, who can tell me now how the two animals communicate? First of all, both animals can communicate by barking, growling, good. But the gray wolf, yes, or howl, yes, to alert or to warn other wolves. What about the red fox? The red fox has a different way. It just needs to wave its tail. You know how it does or how it happens? Well, that was how to compare and contrast between the two animals. If we look at our story, we are talking about two animals. Those animals are real. We have information about the animals. We have a map here. So this is expository text. So our selection today is expository text. Why? Because we have information. Yes, we have facts and information to explain a topic. Maybe about science topics. Well, the science topics, like the same topics you study in the science subject, like animals, plants, everything related to the environment around us, or energy, or the weather. Those are the science topics. We have here text features. What are the text features we have today? We have here map and we have caption. We have map and we have caption. Yes, here, this is the caption in our selection. What is caption? Caption means all the sentences or words written under each photo or illustration to give us or show us more information. Here, the gray wolf and the red fox are both mammals. This is a caption. The second caption here, gray wolves prefer to live and hunt in packs. As you see here, we have a group of wolves. So this is expository text. And now you learned how to make a comparison, how to compare and contrast. So again, what do you mean by compare? When authors compare, they show how two things are alike. When they contrast, they tell how two things are different. And of course, while you are doing your compare and contrast, we use some words like the word both, the same, or alike. But when you contrast, you write the word however, although, on the other hand, and the word but. That's great. Now here we have a comparison about the tail. Both animals have thick fur and long bushy tails. But look at the wolves here. The wolf's tail can be 2 feet long, and the fox's tail has a bright white tip at the end. So here, how have the gray wolf and the red fox adapted to living in North America? How they adapted? In this part, in page 292. Yeah, the red fox and the gray wolf. The gray wolf, yes, live in packs or groups. They prefer to have house or safe shelters away of the town. They like or they prefer to hunt large animals such as deer. What about the red foxes? They adapted by building their shelters close to the towns and parks. They like or they prefer to hunt small meals or small diets like small animals, birds, and fish. The sentence clues. While we're reading today, we find out some sentences that help us understand the meaning or of the new words. So sentence clue are words or phrases in a sentence that help you figure out the meaning of an unfamiliar. Unfamiliar means unknown or a new word. Sometimes a clue define or tell exactly what a word means. Like here the word, the gray wolf is the largest member or a part of the wild dog here. So here we are not sure about the meaning, we are not sure about the meaning of the word member or what does it mean. But we see here the word apart in the same sentence. That's why we guessed the meaning of the word member, this means part. That was our reading class for today. Thank you so much for watching. See you next day.